Welcome to In the Spotlight. I'm Eric Townell. Today my guest is Gerard Floriano. He is the artistic director of the Finger Lakes Opera. Welcome, Gerard. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you,
Great
Eric.
to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
It's so exciting to have opera in the Finger Lakes in the summertime.
It is, and it's really exciting, and we've been enjoying every minute of it. It's busy and it's a lot of work, but it's worth every moment of it.
That's phenomenal that you're able to produce that, and it happens where?
It happens right on the campus of SUNY Geneseo, down in Geneseo in Livingston County. And we have been doing this since 2013. 2013 was our first summer. And we produce opera every summer, and now for the last couple of seasons we have also produced a musical review as well. So we're very excited. We're getting ramped up, and relatively a new organization as these things go, but the response has been great, and the product has been a lot of fun to produce.
That's good. And you say a product, is it a fully professional organization?
Absolutely, yeah, pretty much right on down the line. The singers are all professional, and the orchestra is professional as well. They are fully staged, fully costumed operas, so it's a bit of grand opera in Western New York and the Finger Lakes. So it's quite a production.
That's phenomenal. Now, are you finding the artists locally and the musicians, or?
Mostly, I do auditions. I've been thinking about this. We do auditions in New York. We'll go out into the fall in New York, and we'll do auditions locally here, and then again in Geneseo and at Rochester at the Eastman School of Music. And I'm sure that platform will be growing as we do more shows and produce more operas. But so most of our singers, most of our principal singers, I should say all of them, are coming from out of town, from all over. Yeah, from New York, from Chicago, from Texas, Houston Grand Opera, I'm thinking, and so they've pretty much come from all over, and Europe as well.
And I imagine if you're coming from Houston at this time of year, it's a great time to be in the Finger Lakes.
It is, and that's a great thing about what we do there, and it's one of the reasons we wanted to put opera here. Is we live in such a wonderful, beautiful area, natural beauty, and great weather in the summertime. If we can brag about weather anytime, it's the summertime, spring and summer and fall. So we kind of wanted to capitalize on that and put a great music festival with great grand opera, fully produced, locally produced, with great singers from all over the world. And have it be a destination for people to come in, just as Glimmerglass is, or Santa Fe is out west, Central City Opera in Colorado. We aim to be one of those types of festivals.
That's phenomenal. Now, when you say grand opera, what does that mean to you, and what should people expect?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think of grand opera as not just the music, but all of the spectacle, the costumes, the sets, the dancing, the music, the full orchestra. Opera is a very hot ticket right now, I like to say. It's kind of regaining popularity, especially with a younger demographic, 20s, 30s, and 40s, and we offer certainly lower price tickets for students as well as for seniors and everyone, really. But it's really quite a phenomenon when you're in a theater. I mean, the Met has done a great thing with HD broadcasts in the movie theaters.
And you're talking about the Metropolitan Opera.
Exactly, the Metropolitan Opera and the HD broadcast has done a wonderful thing to bring opera out to everywhere, really, pretty much in the country. But there is nothing like seeing grand opera, fully staged, fully costumed, with a big orchestra, with big sets, and the curtain opens, and the prelude or the overture is starting, and it gives you tingles, and with all of the colors of the orchestra, full chorus, great singers. So that, to me, it's about the spectacle. When I say grand opera, I think it's really about the spectacle, the sights and the sounds, and everything.
And so this is classical opera, for instance, in Italian?
It is. Well, in whatever language it was written. So we've done it so far. We, and probably by the time this airs, we will have done La Traviata, so that'll be our third fully staged grand opera.
I see.
We started in 2013. We did kind of a live market research kind of a thing, where we did a concert version of opera's greatest hits with a full live great orchestra on stage, professional orchestra and professional singers. And we were overwhelmed by the audience response. People loved it. We sang greatest hits from Italian opera, from German opera, from English, from American opera, I should say, and the audience just loved it. And so the first fully staged, fully produced opera that we did was Carmen in French, with English super titles.
Oh, yeah, there are super titles that people
Yes.
can read.
Right. So we do super titles over the stage, and so people can follow along with the set. But I should also say, in where we perform the operas in Wadsworth Auditorium, it's about a 1,000-seat auditorium, so it's not small. But it's very intimate. There's really not a seat that's far away from the stage, and so even if you're not looking at the super titles, you can really follow the action. You know, it's not real difficult to follow what's going on in grand opera. It's pretty basic human emotions. So that's,
And certainly dramatic.
And very dramatic, right? I mean, we did, as I said, we did Carmen our first summer. We did Elixir of Love last summer as our main stage opera, which is a comedy. And in 2016 here, we're doing La Traviata. So we go back to another Italian tragedy. So, and who knows what the future will be, but more great opera, obviously.
Yeah. Now, you're fortunate to have that facility, and that's on the campus of SUNY Geneseo?
It is, and we have a wonderful and I think kind of unique relationship with SUNY Geneseo. They're very generous. President Denise Battles and the entire staff of the college is very welcoming and has opened their arms to Finger Lakes Opera. I happen to be on the faculty there, so I think that was the original in when we started. But Denise is terrific and very supportive and sees this, I think, as we all do, as a great opportunity for the college to interact with the community, interact with our greater region, with the Finger Lakes in a very positive, cultural way, as well as offering great internship possibilities to our students and to students as well from other colleges and from other campuses. Our interns participate in basically from soup to nuts in the opera, from producing it, from marketing and front of house, box office, to public relations, to development, to stagecraft and working on the sets, and to actually singing in the ensembles and the choruses. So our students get an opportunity to do that. Those who are training in those professional areas have a professional internship opportunity with great artists.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, right on campus there. They don't have to go anywhere in the summer. They can do their internships here.
So you're part of the creative team for the grand operas you're conducting in the pit.
That's correct.
And you have stage directors and choreographers and that sort of
Exactly. Yeah, we probably bring in, when we're up and running in the summertime, we probably bring in over 100 people to our team. And like I said, we do a secondary production. The last 2 summers we've done 2 productions, as well as a grand opera. We've done a musical theater review. So that is also its own company, its own smaller company.
Oh, yes.
I call it lightly staged, but by the time our team gets done with it, it's pretty fully staged and fully formed. And so we try and stick with the classics on that. We've done Rodgers and Hammerstein, we've done Irving Berlin this summer, and so look for more of that in the future.
Another musical theater offering in the Finger Lakes.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Now, are there SUNY Geneseo grads who've gone on to musical theater careers or opera careers and returned to your program?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've had several who've come back, and one that I can think of is coming back next summer, in the summer of 2017. Trying to get my dates right. Laurie Himes is a soprano,
Oh, yes.
and we haven't announced this yet, but I can just announce that she will be coming back to do a different kind of opera, not a grand opera, but a different kind of opera that we're going to be collaborating with another local organization on. So that's some very exciting news.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And so we do bring alumni back, and we will continue to bring alumni back in many ways, shape, and form. Musical
director of the current show, I believe, is the...
Exactly. Aaron McAllister is our musical director. He's my former student, and he's a crazy talented. He actually was a singer when he was at Geneseo, but a phenomenal pianist, and has gotten into. He actually did his master's in choral conducting, like both of us, and saw the light. And but he's such a phenomenal pianist and a musical director, arranger. He does this professionally now in Philadelphia and in New York. And so in the summertime, we've been really lucky to get him to come back and bring a team on board, his professional team on board to do the musical.
Congratulations. It's
Yeah.
nice to see a local product.
It is, yeah,
and
to go on and to have your own student, you know, to come back, and I'm just very, very proud of him. Yeah.
That's terrific. And so you mentioned creating new work with a collaborative project. Do you collaborate often with other groups?
We will. I mean, we will be. We haven't, you know, this is just our third year of fully produced operas.
Yes.
So we're getting ramped up, but we've got some ideas coming, and, you know, for I will say we've been in touch with a pretty major American composer who has just recently had a great success with one of his operas, to be producing and creating a new opera for Finger Lakes Opera.
Terrific.
I'm not sure what form that will take just now, but I do kind of know the subject, and I know the composer, and so we're in the seminal stages, I would say, of putting that all together, and so that's exciting. So we want to kind of you know, do grand opera as well to bring the audiences in, but also we would really like to create the art form, have it be Finger Lakes Opera be a source of recreating and rejuvenating the art form through whether it's smaller scale one-act creations, or, you know, full-blown, fully produced operas. You know, and that's always a process, as you know, to create any kind of a big event like that. You do it in stages, and you kind of put it out there, and you work it, and you workshop it, and you bring it back, and it gets bigger. So that's kind of how we're going to be approaching, I think, this project, which is upcoming.
And you've mentioned 2017 and beyond. So what's your typical planning cycle, and how do you work on that with your partner?
Well, we're probably 3 years out planning, as far as, and to get the artists that we want to get, we have to reach out to them pretty early in advance, because the ones we want to get, the ones we want to bring to our audiences are oftentimes engaged a summer in advance. So, so if we would wait, you know, until next summer, right now it's July, till next summer, we'd be a little bit late behind the game. So we're pretty well formed for next summer. Not ready to announce it yet. But so we're working a few seasons out and planning, and then of course the fundraising and the grant writing and the, you know, all that kind of stuff is ongoing pretty much throughout the year, even though we're a summertime festival. So
and you have a separate team working on your development side?
We do, yeah. We have a wonderful team of people working on that, and, you know, always we're growing, but it's always. If I can say that I kind of thought this baby up, I kind of I'm the guilty party, if you will. If you will. So I kind of have my hand in a lot of different areas. So I still, you know, want to be able to talk about the vision, you know, how this thing's put together and how it's going to grow with the support of our donors and support of other people and our audience as well. I kind of have that in my head, and I like to speak about it. I can talk about it forever. And so they're always, you know, our team is you know, we're staying in touch on all those fronts.
Now, American opera is alive and well, and there've been you know, over 1,000 works created since World War II, and it's good that you're contributing to that.
It is, yeah, and it's, you know, I think, and I think it's interesting. It's a lot of different forms too, and is there a crossover piece to musical theater? You know, is there, or is it grand opera? Did Bernstein have it right, you know, when he was writing opera, or was it, you know, is it Nixon in China? You know, is it that kind of thing? I don't know. There's a whole lot of different styles out there, and I think the composer that we're working with is kind of, I like to say he's kind of a cross between Copland, I'm not going to use his name yet, but he's a cross between Copland and Bernstein. You know, kind of a real Americana sound, but with some you know, jazz musical theater elements. It's a very attractive sonority, you know, of sounds that he accesses and that he utilizes. So yeah, I think the idea of opera in the 21st century it can't be devoid. This is my own personal feeling. I think you can't separate it from what's happened in American musical theater. And so Bernstein was onto something in the mid-20th century, shortly after, in the 60s. You know, he wrote all of his stuff in the 70s, and he was writing and he was conducting. I think he was really onto something. And Sondheim went certainly in one direction, in a musical theater direction from that. But I think there's a way to go back into the operatic direction too, you know, to utilize operatic singers, to utilize singers with a certain different kind of technique than, say, musical theater singers and performers utilize when they sing. I mean, there's just such a wealth and wonderful amount of styles, you know, all between those two. I think I want to be, I want to encourage anybody that I work with to embrace the American musical theater tradition and to see how that influences, and the jazz tradition, and how does that influence, you know, what we're going to produce at Finger Lakes Opera.
I see. And are you finding the talent with that kind of training coming to you?
You know, the singers today, American singers, I can speak of more than I can certainly anybody else, but American singers are among the best trained singers right now, being produced, being put out there in the world. And because of our affinity for and knowledge of American musical theater. We're getting a little bit far afield, but you know, my voice teacher at Eastman was Jan de Gaetani. Oh. And Jan was a proponent of new music, absolutely. And she was very specific and very active in having her technique be influenced by whatever new music she was singing. So she would create the sound, and she would develop the technique that she needed to sing George Crumb's music, or to sing Boulez's music, or to sing Richard Warnen's music. So all these extreme techniques, vocal techniques, she was utilizing. So I go back to now contemporary musical theater, American musical theater. It's a very extreme technique. It can be belty. It can be very nasalized. It can be very forward sounding. It can be very different. I think now that's different from opera, but is there some kind of a common ground, common style ground, you know, that is there? I think there is, and I like to think we're heading toward that. Not to meld the two, I don't want to do that, but to keep them separate, but certainly can one learn from the other, and can the other learn from the other. You know, so getting back to it, is the talent? Yes, the singers of today are so well trained in many different styles of music. They can do a lot of different things, and just because our American ears, have a certain sound in our head, you know, if you're well trained and you have a good technique, you can kind of figure it out. Even if you're singing opera, sometimes you can figure out the other styles as well, with a good musical ear and a good technical ear, you know, a good analytical ear.
It's important to be able to move well on stage, and opera certainly wasn't known for that in the olden times.
Yeah, we would call it park and bark, you know, the park and bark, right? So again, also with staging, I think, you know, in Finger Lakes Opera, we try and embrace a more contemporary stylistic movement, you know, stylized movement. If we're doing a period piece, then hopefully the movement and the staging and the dance that you'll see on our stage will be stylized and appropriate, right? If we're doing a dance form, I know we did some dance styles from the Roaring Twenties last summer, the summer of 2015, in Elixir of Love, because we set it in a speakeasy. And so we did a lot of Roaring Twenties stuff, and we had our choreographer there who was working very specifically and very intensively with all of our singers, with the chorus, with the principals, with the comprimarios. Everybody, you know, getting that look, getting those movements down, so it didn't look like a bunch of non-dancers. You know, we can only go so far. We're not dancers. We're not necessarily trained in all of that, but we do a pretty good job of it, I would say.
So you bring in a creative team.
Exactly.
And how about sets and the costumes and all?
Yeah, sets. We have a professional set designer for our shows, and it's built locally here. Yeah, it's built off-site, and it is loaded in. You know, it's loaded in about 10 days or so before the production.
I see.
Then there's a full series of technical rehearsals, and you know, we get it up. It's the finished painting is done. The artistic painting is done on the space, in the space, and all of the final lighting and the tweaking and all that kind of stuff is done in the space, and then we have a series of technical rehearsals. You know, I like to say station to station, or
Yes,
point to point, where and we get, okay, this is how we were doing it in the room. This is how we're going to have to do it with this set in this space, which is much bigger. And this, oh, that's what this feels like. This is what this that's what this door works like. Okay, you know, so we have to take the time to get all that done, and that's a wonderful process. I love it. You know, but it's a slow and a tedious
That's
one.
right.
It's you know, it's
a cue to cue, because
cue to cue, right? Exactly.
they need to practice the light cues too.
Exactly. Yeah, and so we do all that. It takes, you know, for the cast. I mean, for the crew it's even longer, but for the cast it's like three days of rehearsals to do that, and then a piano tech or a piano dress rehearsal, and a couple of orchestra rehearsals, and up we go.
So producing something like this in the summer is actually a pretty tight schedule.
It's a very tight schedule. We're pretty much 3 weeks in, we're done.
3 weeks.
We're in 3 weeks, and the first week is really, and I would say the first 10 days is staging the opera. Next few days is running it and kind of, you know, working lower, you know, with more detail in that staging, and then we do a couple of room runs, and then we're ready. We need to be in the space and getting it moving.
That's roughly half the time you might spend in a repertory house such as Metropolitan Opera.
Right. And so you asked the question earlier. Our singers are most definitely professional. Everyone, including the chorus for that matter, comes in learned, you know, and off book. Right. Memorized, and you know, so we hit the ground running. We have usually a day or a day and a half of musical rehearsals with just the cast and the piano. We run through those, and then the director gets the cast and starts staging, and keeps that moving until it's all done, depending on how long the opera is, how much chorus there is, how much choreography there is. You know, it can be more complicated or less complicated. So.
And for yourself, how do you stay charged up to do opera every summer?
Well, you know, I've been in theaters, backstage in theaters or in theaters since I was a kid. I grew up in the Buffalo area and would work summers at the Chautauqua Institution. And I worked in the Chautauqua Amphitheater on the stage crew, not as a musician, right? And then so I was backstage for all these wonderful, you know, as a high school kid, doing all these great shows and seeing people come through, and opera and dance and the orchestra and you know, speakers and everything was just a wonderful 3 summers that I worked there. And then as I got into college, I did summer programs at Aspen, out in Oregon, and kind of saw it from the other side. And so I've been around, and then professionally I worked in Brevard for several summers at the music festival down there as a resident conductor, and did opera conducting. I did some orchestral conducting as well. So when I walk into a theater or backstage of the theater or into a rehearsal space in the summer, I just automatically get charged up. It's you know, you've had that. Hopefully you've had a little break, you know, after the semester is done for a couple weeks, and you know, you're studying, and then you get to work again with the cast and this great, wonderful music and great professionals, and it's really it's a blessing. It really is. It's terrific.
Yeah. Now, is there a mechanism for learning the art form, that giving others the background that you've enjoyed?
That's a great question. You know, I think you can take any number of routes to it. The thing is, you have to stick with it. I think you have to stay with it, and you have to be willing to kind of work in the bowels. You know, work from the ground floor up, so to speak. It's like learning. You know, if you're going to be CEO of a corporation, you want to know every bit of that business and how it runs. Yes. That's one way to do it, and that's kind of what I've done. I've started out literally as a stagehand backstage, and I saw everything that goes into that. I worked as a backstage conductor, as a chorus master, you know, as an assistant conductor for opera. You're the one backstage, which is what I did for several. You're backstage with, you know, with all these things going on, crazy stuff going on, set moves, and people crossing, and this and that happening, and cues being called, and oh, by the way, 3, 2, 1, we got to sing. And the chorus is singing, or the banda is singing, or something. So you know, it's kind of I did all that. I was fortunate to work with a fellow by the name of David Efron, who was at the Eastman School of Music and just recently retired from the Indiana School of Music. Wonderful mentor and a good friend, but kind of took me under his wing
Nice.
even when I didn't know a whole lot about it, and was patient with me to kind of, teach me all that stuff. And then it's, it's a question of doing it. And as you know, as a conductor, podium time is the key, and being in front of the group.
Yes.
And so whatever group it is, it's really important to be kind of know what's going on, and to be on that podium and kind of making the mistakes along the way, and then fixing them. And we don't tell anybody we make mistakes, but they do happen.
So is it part of Finger Lakes Opera's mission to provide that avenue for young artists?
We have actually it's a good thing that you asked that question, because we have a very young artist, a couple of young artist programs right now, and we will be growing that even more, I think, in the future, for college age and older singers. But right now we have a summer vocal intensive, which is a joint collaboration between the Department of Music at SUNY Geneseo and Finger Lakes Opera. So it's about a 2-week, just what it is, a summer vocal intensive for high school age students.
For high school age?
For high school age students to come in, and there'll be it's an intensive learning program. It's about vocal technique. It's about acting on pitch. It's about acting with the music and acting through the music. It's not so much about the product at the end, it's about the process. So there are a lot of wonderful programs that put on huge productions at the end.
True.
We do put on a production at the end where all of our students get an opportunity to perform, but really we kind of focus on the process.
Yes.
As those students are learning, and what is it, as I said earlier, what is it like to come to your first rehearsal and you know all the notes and you know what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
What is it like to be a good ensemble member, a good cast member, to support your colleagues and all those kinds of things? What's it like to act through the music and have the music help you rather than be a hindrance? A lot of times singers have trouble getting past that, and so we train both in musical theater and in classical voice, and so that is a pretty new program, but it's growing, and we're very excited about it. In addition, there's also this summer a new program. One of our interns actually received a grant from the college to create what's called Opera Kids. And there are about a dozen elementary school kids for a couple days.
Fantastic.
Having a crash course in opera and what it is to be an opera singer and what opera is, and the nuts and bolts, the basics, the fundamentals. And so one of our music students, voice students, has a wonderful grant to do that. Going forward, it's called Opera Kids. And so also then in the future, we're looking to do a more traditional young artist program.
With professional level?
With young professional, emerging artists, and whether those be advanced undergraduate or graduate students. It runs the range. Depending on where it is. Some of them are old. Some of those programs are for older kids, older singers, and some are for younger. So we're just formulating those ideas right now, and it'll be in the future.
Well, we look forward to hearing much more as time goes on. But if people want to learn more and become involved, how do they find you?
FingerLakesOpera.com. FingerLakesOpera.com. Very simple. Yeah, it's always all of our season announcements, and there's a plethora really of other activities that I haven't mentioned that go on every summer, and that every summer we'll be adding and growing. From opera movies in the historic Riviera Theater, which has been restored in Geneseo, in our little beautiful village of Geneseo, to things with writers and books up here in Rochester, and fundraising types of events where we'll bring our singers out and some of our folks out. So always FingerLakesOpera.com is the place to find out
all about it. Jerry, thank you so much for coming and being my guest on In the Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.